Oh, okay. Let's do this. Okay, this one's from Asmongold, and he's going to watch a video, and we're going to watch as well. Why do Europeans dislike Americans so much? I think it's kind of America's own fault. We're putting on the wrong presentation to the world. Like, really, I have to say that collectively as a country, America is misrepresented. Everybody thinks the entire country is a bunch of big fat motherfuckers that go to McDonald's that don't have high IQs. And I would say, like, you know, to be like, oh, you know, like to throw like an easy joke out there at America's expense is so easy to do. Like, America is the biggest target in the world for that. And for good reason, because elected officials are doing really stupid things. So you would have to imagine that if really stupid elected officials are doing really stupid things in the world, then obviously the citizenry has to be stupid as well. But I think a lot of people feel like they don't matter anymore in America. So my hope is that more Americans get up and do something about it. But a lot of people feel like voting doesn't even count anymore. We feel like the entire process is rigged. In this day and age, we feel like there really is no hope. Kind of the very antithesis of what we were founded on. The whole country, I feel the country that has the high IQ, believe it or not. I feel the people that have no voice, that feel like even if they were to say anything, that it's not going to be heard. And I want to like light the fire behind it. I kind of want to be like the Paul Revere, like a new age Paul Revere, right? Except this time it's not the British. It's actually like evil, corrupt lobbyists, politicians, and corporations, which is actually worse. Which is actually worse. America now being taxed more than what it was that we were taxed in the days when we had the Revolutionary War. You understand? So like the irony is not lost on me that we are now taxing ourselves more than the British did in the days that sparked the initial conflict that made America America. There is an irony there that we put ourselves in this position. So I just want to put that out there before we listen to why Europeans don't like Americans, because I feel like I need to represent America. Okay, there are still dreamers here. There's still opportunity here. Okay, but a lot of Americans feel powerless, like they really do. Okay, let's find out how we appear to everybody else, which I already know this is going to be like a complete dunk on America video.
Why do Europeans dislike Americans so much?
I'm asking questions about how Europeans see Americans.
I think it's a third world country with a lot of money. Very negative.
Very negative.
Yeah, I don't see anything positive about America.
I think they're a bit stupid. American TikTokers, they earn too much money with what they do. Like in Belgium, we have...
Wait. Aren't there TikTokers all over the world? This is not just exclusively an American thing. I happen to think that TikTokers all over the world, no matter where you're at, are acting stupid on TikTok because TikTok.
To work for money and they just make videos and that's it.
Well, can't they make money over there, over in Europe like that?
Right, thank you,
I'm
Asmon.
confused.
Thank you.
Because TikTok, you can do that in Europe, right? Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
You know, I might be completely wrong about this, but I think it was a little bit cool.
But Gator's getting upset. Gator's like, if we didn't have to pay for Europe's defense, we could afford the infrastructure we need. Dude, it's going to get ugly. You know, like that's an opinion that's, you know, here's the thing. We need the United Nations. We need to be united. If we start getting separatist, and we start kind of closing the walls and we start kind of, you know, shutting ourselves off and we become that's a bad thing. Like, we need friends in the world. You know what I'm saying, Gator? I get where you're coming from, bro. And I get that a lot of everything around the world's funded by America, you know. But we were the leaders at one point. I would say this, globally, we're losing dominance huge. Like, we need friends now more than ever. I think we need to stop with this kind of mentality. But you're right. They should pitch in their fair share, for God's sake. You know, it's getting to be about that time. It's getting to be about that time. But I don't want to be like separatist. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be very bad for America. You know, that's my opinion.
Cooler to be American when I was a kid.
Yeah, isolationist. That's what I'm trying to say, Caveman. Thank you for that. You know, right, Starlet.
Why do Europeans dislike Americans so much?
Hi guys.
I've lived in Europe for several years now, and look, I've romanticized this continent quite a bit. I really like living here. But there's a funny feeling that I cannot shake, and I think it has to do with how Europeans view Americans.
How's that?
Or how Europeans view me when they discover that I'm American. And it's not entirely positive. This feeling has not gone away even though I've been here for a few years now. And it's not hatred, it's more like negative undertones, offhand comments or jokes that are made.
This is so, I mean, like, this is horrible, right? I mean, like, yeah, here's the thing. He's like, it's not really hatred. It's just negative undertones. So we're okay so far. Like, like, what is this? You know, this is the horrible, the thought process here is horrible, right? I mean, like, this is the situation he's put in as an American. He's over there and he's like, well, they don't downright throw rocks at me. Okay. They just kind of, they generally dislike me and have a disdain and occasionally spit on me.
And it makes me
about
feel
like the schools and like the guns.
Cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, I recognize not all Europeans dislike Americans. That is a massive
fat with guns,
mobility
scooters.
It's been enough of a trend for me to confidently talk about this as something that's really happening.
See, yeah, Europeans always go and think they fucking better than us. They're thinking about us here in America. We can't even see where their country. We don't even know where their country is on a map.
Well, we do. But what you see on the internet is the fact that a lot of people don't even know that we have only one moon. I mean, what the things we watched last week where they were asking people in their 20s about like basic science questions about the center of our solar system, and some didn't even know it was the sun. Do you guys remember watching that? They asked how many moons the Earth have, and one girl was like 7. It's like, we're not presenting ourselves properly. You understand? This is what Europe is seeing about Americans. Okay, it's our own fault for going and looking for dumb people. Which, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say that is the majority. I don't know. I don't want to think that is like the majority of Americans, but maybe it is. Maybe we're just crumbling apart like Rome, man. Maybe our civilization is literally just falling apart. I mean, our public school systems are horrible. Teachers can't even feel like they can teach because they can't discipline and they can't teach consequence, and they're worried about a lawsuit. It's become so litigious here. That's one of the problems. Oh, God, this is going to make me, I don't know if I can watch much more of this, you know.
We don't even know where the fuck they are.
Yeah, Caveman. Ray Dalio, Caveman.
We're thinking about Germany.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying to.
Sweden?
Oh, we got singing for today. We got singing.
It's like somewhere over there, like, yeah, what? Yeah, I don't know. I'm even thinking about that more.
It just seems like when it comes to Europeans' view of Americans, there's a lot to dislike. I don't necessarily entirely disagree. I have plenty of my own criticisms about the United States and the way of life over there. And I think that all places, all societies merit criticism. That's how we get better. So this applies to everyone. But there's something deeper going on here that I want to explore.
What is it?
On a personal level, my own identity as an American, but also the identity of Americans on the global stage. We don't live in a bubble, and it turns out
I think what happens is the fact that American news media makes America look like it's a PvP server. Yeah. Whereas, like, actually, I bet a lot of places in America probably aren't that different from Europe. It's probably about the same demeanor, about the same vibe. Things are different, language is different, but the people are probably about the same. Like, they probably get along. It's not that big of a difference. other than like, unique cultural differences, like, like in Venice, there's a lot of apparently like lakes and shit like that, rivers.
This is, here's the thing about it. If it all were to break down, generally speaking, it would be like if we had an apocalyptic moment, right? You guys ever watch a movie called The Road? Like, let's for a second really break this down. Like, we're like one step away from becoming like back to the old days. Like, one thing happens and we all just reduce ourselves to like, oh shit. Like you're watching out for the next threat. You go back into that mode because you lose all this. We got to stop focusing on like the things that are going to divide us. That's the thing as a globe. Here's my viewpoint on different cultures and how other cultures look at other cultures. It's like, let's for a moment think that aliens invade. There's an alien species that come down. At that point, what do? We collectively come together. The irony, again, there's so much irony in that because like the only time we could come together was like an entire different species comes down and invades us. And then finally we're like united as one to defeat another species, right? We could unite easily against some threat globally. We could do that. Unfortunately, why does that have to be the only... Can't we unite? Can't we just figure out a way to get along and realize that it's much better to get along than it is to fight one another? Like that's kind of like, I guess my whole point is like, why not? Why can't we do that? What is holding us back from this? I personally think it has to do with money being flawed in the way we transact and the way we store our energy, our way to accrue like personal wealth, which is to me just transformative way of like what you put out comes back to you, and a way to store what you're putting out into the world in the form of some type of an asset. And like, since the people who are in power control that in the forms of fiat and they corrupt it, then everything that stems from that is corrupt. Governments, everything, all from the money down. So if you could find a money that was a money that could be something that could hold the actual energy that you put out into the world, and it wouldn't corrupt itself, that money in itself, and that store of wealth could then change the world, because it would truly be transformative. It would truly be transformative.
So like, it's not going to be 1-to-1, but it's going to be close, right? So I think that's really what happens, right? Is like, you have a lot of selective reporting that makes America look like, things are crazy, but it's really not like that. It's just that the media reports on it this much.
The world has opinions about us. Now,
we would need a money that is outside of government control, right? We would need a global money that everybody could get behind, because I think in every culture, in every country, they realize that the governments that run them will corrupt their money. And they fight over it, and they use that paper to buy like assets like gold and things that hold wealth better. That's what governments do, or accrue weaponry, or, to maintain the defense of what it is that they hold. But in order for money to be a more just, a more pure form of accruing the actual energy that you're putting out there into the universe or into on the planet, the money itself would have to not be tainted by government control. It'd have to be public, And it would definitely not work as bottle caps, I don't think, Chuck, because you could produce more bottle caps. It definitely could not be jelly beans, right? Like, I don't think giant stone coins would work either, Flashheart.
I have my own theories about what's going on here, but I thought I'd get to the root of the matter and ask Europeans themselves.
It makes me a little bit nervous talking to strangers, but
I hate doing that, bro.
I'm gonna go for it.
I hate when somebody tries to talk to me.
What are the stereotypes?
Fat, fat?
That's a good question.
Bah moi quand je pense aux Américains, je pense à la
Think Americans think they're food?
Dans quel sens? Le fast-food?
Ouais.
Ok.
Ouais.
McDo. Ouais,
Hamburger et tout.
Well, that's their fault. They gave us French fries. They gave us French fries. No, Pepe, that's wrong. French fries are American. They are? Okay, well, I'm sorry, Pepe. I didn't know French fries were American.
Français adorent McDo.
I did.
Yeah.
Donc c'est pas
See, that's the thing, bro. Like, they think that they're better than us, but where are they going? McDonald's. How about that?
How about that?
That's crazy.
Asmon.
McDo, that's what they call it over there.
C'est négatif ça.
Non,
Yeah.
non.
Ok.
C'est l'image.
Actually, I like Americans because they are like very chilled. America is like so expensive for good food.
I
I don't know if
like
that's
Yeah.
For
very attractive and very smart. God bless this Parisian. God bless this Parisian.
like fruits and all this fresh stuff, it's like so expensive.
J'ai deux visions un peu.
Ok.
J'ai la version où ils sont trop cool et tout, et la version vraiment
The
le
other
beauf
version is the
américain.
hillbilly
You
American.
think the
Yeah.
stereotypes about Americans
true.
are true?
Kind of. I have a classmate that is American, and we are talking like about.
I see a lot of talk about de-dollarization in the chat, which is interesting because we're seeing the BRIC countries trying to form their own currencies. I truly think like finding a money that everybody can get behind globally and circumvent the government's control is the actual way to become unified. I think it's that important. I really do. And Masal said de-dollarization is a thing. A lot of countries are trying to reduce the power of the dollar. Absolutely. We just, in terms of a global currency, we got off of the gold standard in 71 under Nixon. And then after that, we signed a deal with the Saudis for oil in terms of how much they can produce and how much of that oil we got. That is referred to as the petrodollar, and that contract just expired last year and was not renewed, by the way. So in essence, the dollar's not backed by oil anymore. So that's a de-dollarization thing that's happening that Mad Sal is talking about. And then the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and what is it, South Africa, are starting their own currency, very much like a euro, and they're telling us that it's going to be backed by gold, which that's interesting because that gives more power to that currency and less from the dollar. But these things move glacially. In forex trading, in currency tradings, in the values of currencies, I got to get you guys to understand, like, these things move really slowly. So, you know, like, yes, the dollar's losing more power as a global reserve currency, as the dollar being valuable, as more and more people produce alternatives. But fiat in general, which is paper money that is controlled by government, is also going to be reduced in terms of the value that it holds, just in its very nature. Also, like, you would say, well, wait a second, DG, because BRICS countries have their currency going to be backed by gold. But would you trust the accounting of a Russia? Do you trust the accounting of China, CCP? Do you trust them to account the dollars, the paper dollars being valued to the gold that they hold? I don't. So again, you have government manipulation, and this is not just America. This is all over the world. So I think more and more people are going to learn about money. There's a lot of people in this world that have no idea about their currencies, that have no idea about money. They just look at a dollar or a franc or a pound or whatever country you're from, and they think to themselves like, okay, it's worth this, because they don't have to deal with inflation that much because they're under the umbrella of the dollar. The irony is that the dollar itself is backed by a Ponzi scheme where the government, our government, the American government, continues to print more and more dollars to buy the debt. It's like a person who has reached their limit on their credit card 15 times, and then for the 16th time, they get another credit card to pay off the other credit cards. That's what's happening. between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Okay, there's a lot of history here, but that's what's happening in America. So we're living on debt. We're just living on debt. It's a Keynesian view of economics. I don't want to get too deep in this. We're watching an Asmongold video, for God's sake, so I don't want to get too deep in an economic discussion. But my point is this: fiat money, paper money, all around the world, these currencies are all controlled by governments or people that we elect, and or some don't elect. Some are dictatorships. They just do it on their own. And these people are all royalty. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it confused. No matter what you're calling your government, these people are the higher ups that manage the wealth. And what they do is they always make sure, because they're humans, that they get the most wealth. That is because our DNA is written as such. Humans are fucking greedy. Okay, so we need a money that protects us from ourselves. The euro is controlled by a collective, and also the World Bank has a lot of jurisdiction on currencies around the globe, Erad. So yeah, the euro is a collective, very much like the BRICS. So the BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China. The euro is, I'm not quite sure. I think it's England, France, Belgium, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Spain. You can use it all over Europe, but it's a collective of countries using it. Doesn't that happen in the 90s? England's out. Yeah. The European Central Bank. Yeah. But the European Central Bank is actually, hold on one second. European Central Bank. Hold on one second. I think it's, I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of, hold on one second. BIS? Is it BIS? Is it the Bank for International Settlements? I can't remember. Anyway, I won't get too far in it. My point is, Erad, is that any type of fiat currency controlled by one government or a collective of governments is going to be corrupt, because you have people in positions that can essentially deflate the money's value. Do you get what I'm saying, Erad? Yeah, okay. UK and Denmark don't have it. Sweden neither. Okay. European countries, let's put it that way. Erad. Do you get what my point is overall? Thank you, Erad. Thank you for being so specific. I appreciate the actual facts. Euro is used by France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Malta, Austria, Italy, Slovenia, Slovakia, Finland, Ireland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Kosovo, and is also a currency controlled by a government's collective body, is what I'm trying to say. Do you understand the point that I'm trying to get across, though, Erad, about fiat money and the value of fiat money? I hope so. Japan holds $1.1 trillion in U.S. debt, followed by China holding $749 billion. Yeah, Japan's in a crazy amount of debt right now. They just raised their rate by, I think, 0.5%, which kind of turned everything upside down for a bit. Right. Erad's still listing countries. I guess what I'm trying to say, Erad, is do you get what I'm trying to say about my overall thesis and point is that money in itself, the fiat money, is controlled by either a government or a collective of governments that will continually usurp the actual value of what it is that we are putting out into the world, because they will gain from it, is what I'm trying to say.
Our traditional foods, and the American was like, my typical food is hamburger, ice cream, like the McDonald's one.
Yeah.
And we are like, oh, so McDonald's is your typical food. She was like, yeah, kind of.
Could I just take a couple?
Yes, Aether.
Yeah,
thank you.
that's right.
BIS, yeah.
Absolutely. Those ice cream cones are the best. They're amazing. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Minutes to ask you a couple questions.
True.
Okay, if you don't have time, it's fine. Okay, all good. Have a nice day. The Americans don't have time for me.
Good one.
That's kind of funny. Would you mind if I asked you a couple questions?
Wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah, because Americans are used to having jobs and having to be places, whereas Europeans, this is just what they.
It is a lost cause. It is a lost cause. Mass says America has $35 trillion in debt, and it seems like a lost cause now. Yeah, you can't stop this train. One of my favorite economic analysts, her name is Lynn Alden. she says this all the time about what you're talking about, Mad Sao. She says this train is barreling down the tracks, and there's no stopping this train now. You cannot turn around the train. It is too late. Our interest on that debt it's more than what we spend on the military now. Just the interest on the debt is more, which is, again, Japan is 200%, I think close to 200% over their amount that they can handle in terms of like their interest that they owe. I think we're at 135%. Well, that's a great question, Daft. We owe ourselves, Daft. I mean, the irony is the American government is buying its own debt. So we are our biggest buyers. Daft thinks it's Japan and China. And the funny thing, Daft, is we are actually our own biggest buyers. We are printing the money to buy our own debt. So we are actually drowning in our own debt right now, Daft. And Japan and China own our treasury bonds, right? They own them, but they're selling them like crazy. They're getting rid of all the U.S. Treasury bonds. So who are going to be left buying American debt if foreign countries aren't buying it, right? And what you're going to find is, like, the BRICS countries, when we turned off SWIFT, which was a settlement, transactional international settlement for dollars, when we turned off SWIFT to Russia was like, okay, fine. Fuck you guys. We're going to start BRICS. We're going to start our own currency. We want to get off the dollar. And, you know, it just has kind of spiraled downhill since then, Daft. And yes, Americans are the biggest buyers of American debt. And our own government buys our own debt. We just print the dollars and we buy more debt. We get another credit card and we pay off the other credit cards continually over and over, which amasses more debt. Yeah. Yeah. So again, like, it's important to learn this, because as an everyday person, and no matter what country you're from, you have to ask yourself, like, what am I going to store the energy that it is in me that I'm putting out in the world, and I'm getting something back in return? Like, you're obviously going to get your country's paper. My advice is own the world. Own the world. Own assets. Not financial advice. Sorry. What I would do. I know I just said it was my advice, but let's reiterate. Let's back up. Not financial advice. What I'm doing is I'm taking the cash, I'm taking the paper, and I'm turning it into stocks. I'm turning it into, I believe in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's a great store of value, but it's speculative, so be careful. I'm thinking of gold, perhaps, but it's important to, like, store the energy that you're putting out into the world, because your dollars in my country, in America, your dollar's being deflated by 14% every single year. 14%. Most people would tell you like 3%, but it's more around like 12 to 14%. So, and you can see it everywhere around you. You can see it in the groceries. You can see it in prices all around you. Everything continues to inflate around you, and that's literally your dollar deflating in value. So take the dollars and convert them to stocks. You know, what I'm doing, stocks and crypto. Again, that's what I'm doing. Because eventually I think you're going to have a systematic collapse, because you can't support 33 trillion, 35 trillion in debt. You can't do it. And more people are waking up to the fact that it's like, more and more people are waking up because more and more people are taking the time to learn. And why are more and more people taking the time to learn about it? Because they can't afford to live anymore. The inflation that has hit all these other countries for decades, we exported that to them through the dollar. Like, we exported all our debt to these other countries. Argentina, what they just went through, holy shit. They were once the richest country in the world, and they lost everything. Could you imagine? Their inflation is so bad that, like, people in restaurants literally change the prices the day of while you're sitting there eating. Like, a bowl of soup is like $5 and equivalent to $5, and then some dude like erases it on a whiteboard and says it's worth 10 because that's how bad their inflation is. Americans haven't felt it like that yet, and I don't think they will for a while. I honestly, this is the last place that's going to feel the effects of the inflation. But we've already started feeling it. We haven't felt it like other countries. but we're going to. It's just going to take time. It's going to take more and more time. So what do? 3 words. This is what I tell my daughter. Own the world. Own the world. The only way to preserve the energy that you're putting out there in return for some type of wealth is to own things that depreciate less. Yeah, whether you think it's gold, Red Bear, whether you think it's Bitcoin, or whether you think it's stock, like certain tech stocks. Quite a bit of Americans have no clue as to what is happening, Mastal. Yeah, I can guarantee you that like this talk is going over the heads of a lot of people that are watching this on YouTube right now. I don't think this talk is going over the heads of the people that are the 21 viewers that are here right now in our chat talking are interested about this because we're going through it together and we've been on these streams together, like on these live streams. A lot of you understand what the fuck it is that I'm saying right now and how important it is. And other people are just going to gloss over it and be like, ah, fuck this. I don't want to have to learn about this shit. It's not affecting me yet. And those are the people that aren't going to survive. You know? Right. The ones that want to just talk about Picos, right, Starlet? I wouldn't go so far as nuclear bunkers retro, but, you know, it's getting bad out there, you know? They didn't teach you this in school, right? Greg says you never learn about personal economy at school. It's best you become a loyal worker, says Greg. Absolutely right. That's exactly the mentality. And notice that it's a public school system, so it's like teaching you to be poor. They didn't teach this shit to us. They didn't teach this. I would have taken class immediately. I took econ my first couple years in college, you know, and it was eye-opening. But they teach a lot of, like, the problem with, like, a lot of the college courses are they teach something called Keynesian economics, which is a dude, I can't remember the guy's first name, but his Keynes was the guy's last name. And he believed that the only way a country continually, like, grows or growth is to continually create credit, which is what a lot of market participants and what has been taught over the past few decades is like a Keynesian model, which basically is the reason why we've done what we've done. And frankly, I think it's the wrong way to run markets. I kind of agree more with the Austrian version of economics, like an Austrian viewpoint. Anyway, I can't get into this because, you know, here's the thing. This is going to miss most people. Like, this talk is going to go over the heads of most people. But, like, for the people that are here live right now, like, seriously, take some time to learn about money. It's definitely worth it. It is really worth it. It will save you a lot of pain and heartache. If you continually think, like, oh, it's fine, I'm just going to continually collect a paycheck and everything's going to be fine, and you're living this way without any savings or without any, like, you guys, please, even if it's a couple bucks, like, find a way to pay off your debt. Find a way to just develop a plan. Find a way to pay off your debt and find a way to start saving and then own the world. Yeah. And if you start, if you habitually do it and you write down a plan, right? And you start enacting it, it's going to change your life. Because even if it's dollars at a time and it's not much, the simple fact that you change your life like that, it brings about good things. Like, it gives you order, it gives you goals, it gives you motive to continually strive. It'll affect everything in your life. It'll be a very positive force for you. Buy Palantir, says Mad Style. Shit, that was a good buy for me. I bought Palantir at $7, bro. Not enough, dude. Still holding it. Yeah, Keynes is like a left point of view of the economy, kind of, sort of. If you had to put it in like a political stance, yeah, I would say it would be like a left kind of point of view. Yeah. I mean, Keynes wasn't wrong on certain things. I think his overarching thesis on using credit as a means to continually perpetuate a fake growth was that in itself, I think, is a corrupt kind of. It's not teaching you to save anything. It's teaching you to spend is what the Keynes kind of view is, right? Yes, yeah, and I think over the long run, what ends up it's great for the short term. Like a Keynesian view is great for like a short term view, like half of a century. But like after that half of a century, things start to break down, which is what we're seeing right now. You know, which is why I'm much more of like an Austrian kind of economist. Anyway, let's get off this topic in this video because I'm telling you what, it's bringing me down. Just stay positive and own the world. Okay, thank you. And Americans aren't all stupid. Listen to me. You know, the ones that are still left on YouTube watching, which are probably is not many. There's a lot of us here in America that we can, you know, we can kind of figure things out. Okay, we're not all people eating McDonald's every single day of our lives, and you know, we're not maybe as dumb as you think. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're listening to an American right now.